Welcome back to the channel. This game continues the match between Nigel and Lev Alburt, the US champion. This is game 5. Nigel had a 3-point lead at this point and was playing quite dominantly. The game followed a familiar pattern with the Alekhine defence. And here in game 1, Nigel played knight to g5, attacking the f-pawn. And after e6, got a nice game. Here he opted for a4, threatening to kick the knight. And here Albert played d5, which I think is a slight mistake already. This allows white to build up quite a strong centre and also kick the knight. So knight comes forward to c4, and white threatens to trade the knight off and win the pawn. And another dubious move in b5. I think c5 would have been a better play, trying to strike at the centre. And already you would say that white's got a very nice position. Another move which doesn't seem to do a wonderful lot. And I assume black's trying to increase the scope of the bishop and maybe play bishop a4 at some point, but it's quite unclear what his plan is. Knight to g5, so threatening to win the e-pawn back. Black's pawn structure's not good already, and you say white has a clear advantage at this point. Black decides to give up the pawn. Maybe bishop d7 might have been a better option. But he played rook to f5, giving the pawn back. And the queen moves, and the bishop hits the rook. And the knight trades itself for the black bishop and brings the other knight in. And all of white's moves are quite easy to play, and black's got structural problems and not a nice position. He develops his knight, and the bishop's heading for g3. Black gets his king off the dark diagonals, with the bishop eventually ending up on e5, I assume. And white continues to harry black's pieces. And this kind of forces the trade. And here there's a number of moves white could play. He opts for knight takes g7 and h7, but g3 could be played to keep the rook first. But knight takes h7's a good move, wins a pawn. And the idea is obviously that the king takes h7 can't be played because the queen h5 check. And this is just totally winning for white. So black plays the best move, which is bishop to a4, trying to trade off the white square bishop. e6 is played anyway. And here white's got a choice. You could play rook takes a4 and then bishop takes g6, which probably might have been the best option, but he just chooses to retreat the knight. So the bishops are traded, and then the king comes forward to defend the g6 pawn. But this allows the knight to jump into f7 and the queen moves forward. The g3 hits the rook, which has to move. And white invites the trade of rooks. Obviously, if the rooks are traded at this point, then the knight will end up on e5, and the g6 pawn would be lost. So the rook goes back, the queen comes over, eyeing the h6 square. And the rook just calmly defends the f2 pawn, so the queen can move. White hits the queen first, making it retreat, and now queen to h6, forcing, obviously threatening queen h8 mate, but forcing the win of the exchange. This is a nice move, utilising the pin. Obviously, it can't be taken as the queen takes c6. The queen comes across. The rook drops back, aiming for either at g4 or f4. Black defends. Rook to e1, maybe f4 would have been a better move, just blowing open the centre. Knight comes back to defend. White offers the queen trade. Obviously, any queen trade would result in a losing endgame for black. So he hits the c pawn. And I think he just tries to practically play, trying to create some counter play. Gives up the g pawn. And after rook to g7, this forces the trade of rooks. And queen to d6. And queen to g6. And in this position, black had enough and resigned. One possible continuation would be king to e7, but after rook to f3, threatening rook to f7. I think black has to give his queen up to avoid mate. So another win for Nigel, who's now 4 points clear in the match, and it was becoming pretty one-sided. I think the fight had gone out of black and Albert, and Nigel was just enjoying the games. The fact that Albert stuck to his Alekhine defence is interesting, because he didn't get any decent positions out of the first 3 games with black. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the game. I'll be back with the next game of the series in due course. Bye for now. Cheers.